The first PlayStation State of Play for 2024 went down just last week, and there was a rather glaring absence of PlayStation first-party titles. Now, the bigger question here is, will that absence help or hurt PlayStation as we progress through 2024? Join us today as we bring together some of Game Sandwich's finest, and pit them against each other in some good old-fashioned gaming debates. Now, why are we doing this? Well, this is a hot topic. What's up, guys? This is Kalo, and normally I'm here to give you the lowdown on all things gaming, but we are back for yet another episode of Game Sandwich Hot Topic, and I'm joined by the one and only.
Hey everyone, Jesse Lennox here once again, and we got another pretty fascinating debate, I think, so yeah, excited to see how this one hashes out.
So, I think it goes without saying, PlayStation just held their PlayStation State of Play. And there has been a little discourse as of late as far as what the year of 2024 looks like for PlayStation. And it looks pretty barren, at least at first glance. But today,
from the first party perspective we're talking about.
Yes, first party stuff has been the main question. So today's topic, nonetheless, will be, is the absence of first party games for PlayStation in 2024 gonna help or hurt them?
Yeah, so why don't you give a quick breakdown of the rules just in case somebody's first episode here.
For those of you who don't know, our trusty coin flip is going to decide whether we are for or against a topic. In this case, I think heads, it'll be for, it will help PlayStation, and tails, it will hurt them.
Okay.
Because tails never fails, you know.
Exactly, yes. So, are you going to flip it so it'll be choosing which side you're taking?
Yes. So, I will commandeer the coin flip right now. And I promise this is all foolproof. There's a system. There's a whole code behind this. So, let's give it a flip. And we have... I'm going to be talking. Yes, it's going to hurt them. What could go wrong? Right?
Hey, yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know. You have to just roll with what you get.
Okay, so in the last episode, I took the reins first. So for the sake of combat here, I'm gonna let you go first.
All right, so a lack of first party hurting PlayStation, right?
Yes.
All right, so before we really fully kick into it, this is just the first showcase, you know, and we don't know what the back half of the year really looks like. Who knows if this is what it is, but just assuming for right now that what we know is all we know. Having no first party for especially the fall, which is, I can't remember the last time Sony's really missed a fall with a big release. You know, that's what people come to PlayStation for. You know, like, they stay for all the third parties and the exclusive or third party exclusives as well, but if they're trying to sell a console, it's on the back of one of their first-party IPs. God of War, Spider-Man, Horizon, that's not usually a fall release, but yeah, without a first-party thing, especially in the fall is what I'm thinking, like, even if they just had the one, like, kind of prestige game, you know, what are they gonna capitalize on that holiday sales that, you know, that's where all the sales kind of for the year, the majority of them for consoles kind of happen. So what are they going to rely on there?
Now, I, for one, when speaking about PlayStation, being an Xbox fan, it's always, no pun intended, it's always a hot topic. If you had to pick, I don't know if you can think of one right off the top of your head, if you had to pick a title to be like inserted into that fall lineup, because we got God of War, we got Spider-Man, I think Horizon is getting something, the VR title, if that didn't come out yet already.
That was launch for the VR.
That was. So if you had to pick a title, like, what would it be?
Easy. The next Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, okay. All right. That one went under the radar. With Rise of Ronin coming out, I think that fills that gap, but still, nothing beats Ghost. I mean, fantastic storytelling.
Yeah, if not that, then even something new from we don't know what Sony Bend Studio has been doing since they've had trouble after Days Gone. I think they're doing something new, but we don't really know what they're doing. So a new IP would also be, but something we kind of know is in the works. I think Ghost of Tsushima, because that'd be a little like 4.5 years since the first one, so could be somewhat realistic.
Call me crazy. I love Days Gone. I know there's a lot of discourse
Oh
about
yeah.
that game, but I liked it. But that's just me. PlayStation is, at least for now, is going to be having what I call a gap year in gaming. This is where I think they could really capitalize on releasing not only DLC, but again, smaller titles like a Miles Morales. They just, I mean, you can count it as last. Oh no, is that technically the God of War DLC? Time's being blurry to me right now. That
That
released
was December,
December, so we'll count it.
just like a month. Yeah, it's close enough.
We'll count it. So I think they should capitalize on this. You know, it'll not only set you up in the future for other entries like mainline entries in the series, but God of War, they tease something. And I'm not going to get into spoilers for anything as far as that DLC goes, but they tease something, or at least I think they did. But yeah, it helps you build up established IPs. This DLC, these smaller scope games. There was rumors of a smaller scope God of War centered around Atreus making the rounds. I don't know how true that is. I would personally love it. But this is also what they're good at. Miles Morales was a hit, at least in my opinion. And there's talks of a Venom spin-off game as well. How close to Spider-Man 2 they're going to release that, I don't really know. But I think there's room here, especially towards the, like what you said, the fall area.
Now, if we're talking like, are you going to say an actual DLC like what we saw with God of War, or like the Miles Morales, which is kind of a like spin-off standalone, yeah, like a standalone DLC. You could buy it separately or as part of like the main game add-on, I guess.
I look right now at least to the Horizon franchise as one of the franchises that I wouldn't say deserves, but it would certainly benefit. You have the VR title. You can definitely build to the next entry in the series, and I don't think they're touching Uncharted right now. Maybe The Last of Us. I mean, shout out to Factions or The Last of Us multiplayer. Rest in peace to that. But maybe they do something there with the show coming out soon. At least I think it's soon.
I mean, they just did the remake remaster for PS5 that added that new mode, so I think they're done with Last of Us in terms of extra content on what that has.
Don't you worry. I got something allegedly cooking to remedy all this. And it has nothing to do with The Last of Us, though. This is where I get picky, and we've talked about this a little bit on the side, but that kind of leads me into the next point, at least from my side. Let Sony take the Nintendo approach. And what do I mean by that? Because people will immediately take my head off for this. Remakes, ports, remasters. I'm talking untouched IPs for centuries. Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, I'm looking at you. I think those are two franchises, while 3D platforming isn't the hot thing now in gaming, no one knows of these games. Like, whenever I bring up Jak and Daxter or Sly Cooper, there are those fans, the niche fans. But in a wider scope, if they want to build a long-term success under this new regime, I think bringing up more mascots like a Sly Cooper, like Jak and Daxter, will only benefit them. You can also just get away with, like what they just did with The Last of Us. Do a remastered trilogy of Sly Cooper 1, 2, 3, Jak and Daxter, preferably. But, you know, it pads out the year pretty fine. And, hey, I'll pay the $70. They have me.
They technically did remaster those for PS3, and I know they used to be on PlayStation Now. I don't know if they're still on PlayStation Premium or whatever, but I don't know if you can really... Sony can't hang their hats on, you know, bundling, and I don't think other people like... I know if you want to introduce new people to these franchises, I don't think like a remaster, even a trilogy, full price of they're great games, but they are PS2 games. I don't know if that's going to be something that they're going to be like, let's center our marketing around remastering a trilogy that are they it would have to be leading into something new, and unless they have that kind of cooking pretty quick, I don't think like you can't say here's a remaster for $70. That's what we've got. Come back in 2 or 3 years for Jack 4 or whatever.
The only thing I could like hope and pray right now, there was talks of a live action Jack and Daxter movie. Tom Holland has spoke at length about wanting to play Jack. I don't want that to happen. Let me be clear. I think there's plenty of other people to cast other than Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. But if they're gonna do, oh, that kind of makes sense. But I digress. I think versus like a live action movie, people aren't too familiar. I think it could line up. Also, in Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, I think there was a Jack Easter egg. So at least it's on their minds. So much like my hopes for Sonic and all that news that came out today, I just think reviving these older IPs that haven't been touched for years could certainly benefit in 2024, especially getting the spotlight, because they're not releasing these games alongside a new God of War, a new Horizon, or a new, I was about to say Left 4 Dead, but a new Last of Us.
All right, and so let's say that's what they've got. Are they going to try and put that head to head with the fall big games? Because Sony's not, they're not the only ones who save like their big guns for the fall. That's prime time. It's looking like maybe Indiana Jones is coming then. Maybe Avowed would be somewhere in that area. Like, that's going to make Sony look pretty weak, Like, if all these brand new games, like a Ubisoft game, is probably going to come out. I don't know if Call of Duty's coming around again this year or not. I don't know what that's about, but Sony's going to look pretty old and dusty if they're like, hey, come get this old trilogy instead of the brand new hotness.
I honestly, you bring up a valid point there, but at the end of the day, I pray for everybody other than Nintendo right now, because there's rumors that the Switch 2 is coming during the fall. Yeah, and at that point, just get out of the way. Just somebody move. Xbox, I'm praying for you. PlayStation, everybody, because I haven't seen a console that has had this much talk in years. Like, Switch 2 is all over the place. But we're talking about PlayStation. What's your next point here? Besides looking old and dusty, which I admit that would make them look a little dusty.
No, yeah. And so with the Switch 2, like almost it's all but confirmed. I mean, it would be wild if it didn't come out this fall, almost certainly. So, giving that some breathing room, being like, okay, let's use this smoke screen here. Let everybody go wild on the Switch. It's gonna be wild. We can come around beginning of 2025, hit them hard. Switch is, everyone's looking at the Switch 2. Now we come back and be like, hey, this is what I'm not gonna piss everybody off. This is just like talk, but this is what a real console can do. Like a home console, not presumably a hybrid that's less powerful. Assuming.
So today, I came across a little thing about a potential PS Vita in the works.
I did see that.
So releasing maybe the PS5 Pro, or this Vita they say is very far out, like 2025, 2026. But yeah, so releasing a new console to go head to head with the Switch?
I was actually going to add a topic based around mid-generation refreshes, but happy to touch on it here. That could be a strategy, but I think with that, it does need that game with it, a new game, say this is why you want this upgrade, because they just released the new revisions of the smaller PS5s, same price. So this new Pro, if there is one, is going to be more expensive. It can't be like they shifted this one down, the regular down. Now a Pro could be what the old one used to be. There's going to have to be $600 more dollars.
I think that's the price point.
So, I mean, and they hate that, you know, $599 US. But yeah, they're not gonna be able to. They need to sell on that, like something first party to. That's what sells their consoles at the start, and this is going to be for the hardcore PlayStation fans. They're not going to come in and be like, well, it's going to make the third party stuff that's coming out run better. I mean, some maybe will, but nothing takes advantage of a PlayStation console like a first party studio.
Well, that brings me to my final point here. You know, having a successful year in gaming, yes, you know, first party games make it look better on paper, but I think, like we've seen in this recent showcase, that was pretty much all third party, if I'm not mistaken. As long as those games aren't, like, available on other platforms, I think Helldivers is going to be available on other platforms. PC. But third-party success, as long as they're exclusive to PlayStation 5, like, this is the only place you can play them, I think that counts as a pretty successful year for PlayStation, regardless.
Oh, yeah, it's true that I think kind of to the point of it being not bad for them is that they have, like, I think people are estimating, like, more than a 2-to-1 lead over Xbox. And every game sold on PlayStation, they're making a percentage of that profit. So being out of the way, in a sense, and be like, let's take some time, really craft whatever we're working on, and push these other games, if they're as being on our console, they would obviously like to have their own game getting 100% of the profits, but if they can, you know, step back and be like, all right, let's push these and just kind of make that kind of passive income off of other people's games, then, you know, it's not a bad.
I also kind of want to just touch on this real quick. Death Stranding 2 on the beach. Kojima is a weird dude. He just makes weird games, and I'm all for it. Like, watching that trailer at this showcase, I had no clue what was going on, but I was like, it's gonna make sense. I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna just enjoy what he does. He talked a little bit about that espionage game. Everyone's like, is that the answer to Metal Gear? I think it might be, at least from what it sounds like. What were your thoughts on that, real quick?
Yeah, I mean, Death Stranding, I mean, a shame 2025, but, you know, we'll get there. But yeah, he's all style, and he just, whatever has cheesy or out there, he goes all in, and so I'm right there with him. He just brings you in. If you let him take you on a ride, he'll show you something you've never seen. But as far as the espionage thing, you know, didn't he use the words tactical espionage action?
Pretty much. I thought I heard action RPG or something like that. It was action something.
Action espionage, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
He's using the words, but I don't know. I think it's going to be more different than Metal Gear than we think, based on how he's saying, like, it's more than a game, it's also a movie, it's also... So I think this is going to be, like, what he wants to be his magnum opus type thing of multimedia, fourth wall breaking, gonna get a phone call and have to go outside to power it with the sun to figure out what's happening in the plot, but I don't know.
I could see that, because what we heard about OD on the Xbox side of things, where he's pretty much saying the same things, like, it's more than a game, it's like a movie, it's this, it's that. I've heard real-to-life visuals. I'm like, all right, first of all, is my PC or is my PlayStation 5 at that point going to run this game? Like, what are you doing to my console? Like, But I'm excited. Kojima always makes these experiences. I'm not going to call them games. They're experiences. So I'm hyped for that. But do you have any closing points here as far as this classic debate goes?
No, I think just based on what we know now, yeah, we're kind of in the dark on almost everything PlayStation. So I'm thinking it's almost a certainty they'll have something E3 time, former E3. And if there's nothing there, then I'll start to worry. But I want to give them the first half of the year to set us up for the final half.
I think that's the big thing. Everyone has that knee-jerk reaction, especially after that Xbox developer direct. They're like, "Oh, this is all first party." You know, like it's only February. It's only February. We have plenty of other months. So, and then Final Fantasy is getting this showcase tomorrow by the time this episode goes up. So, go check that out. Final Fantasy. I know a lot of people love that game. A lot of people. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun year for PlayStation. I think either way, we're on the safe side. Spoiler.
As long as you're not some crazy person who only plays first-party exclusives, there's plenty to play. And if even so, I'm sure there's 10 games from last year you missed. So
imagine waiting between those games, like just first-party. I don't have the patience to do that. I'm like, I need something new right now. But at this point, I think we're going to pass it off to you guys, the viewers. Who was right? Who was wrong? Leave a comment down below.
And if you want to continue the debate, bring us over to also a link down there, our Discord, where we'll be in there. And yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts as well.
Yes, as always, leave a shout out. Whose team are you on? Team Jesse or Team Kalo? If you enjoyed today's debate or want your weekly dose of gaming news content, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for content just like this. And we'll see you guys next time.